Welcome to Native America Calling. I'm Sean Spruce. The band Khu.éex has another rich funk jazz fusion that draws deep from Alaska Native sources. Their sixth full-length album takes their unique sound into new territory. We'll hear some of the tracks on it, and we'll also hear from the neo-soul band Earth Surface People from the Desert Southwest. They're out with their second album, packed with approachable music that also carries a message. We'll hear from the artists behind these two projects right after the news.
This is National Native News. I'm Brian Bull, sitting in for Antonia Gonzalez. Last week, the U.S. Department of Education announced a nearly $500 million investment that'll in part help to fund TCUs, or tribal colleges and universities. As KJZZ's Gabriel Pietrorazio reports, it comes months after the White House proposed cuts that would have caused some schools to close.
Navajo Nation President Boo Nygren met with Education Secretary Linda McMahon for the first time in D.C. to explain why tribal education isn't DEI and how these institutions are tied to preserving language and culture.
And I had to remind her about the Navajo Code Talkers and the things that we've done for this country, and at the same time making sure that we fund our education properly, including our higher education as well. So she was very receptive.
But coming away from that recent conversation, Nygren calls a big win. He admittedly did not expect what would follow just days later.
And then to get the good news after was even better, to know that over $100 million was going to be given to tribal colleges. Like
New Mexico's Navajo Technical University and the nation's oldest Diné College in Saline, Arizona, both chartered by the Navajo Nation. 36 or so TCUs initially faced a roughly 90% funding deficit. Now they'll get a one-time 109% increase, and Nygren suggests it's a sign that the Trump administration is listening.
The meeting that I had with her the week before was honored by really upholding her treaty trust responsibilities.
For National Native News, I'm Gabriel Pietrorazio.
The first feature film ever made in Idaho was shot more than a century ago, and it included more than 100 members of the Nez Perce tribe. Although only a third of the film was recovered, it's been digitized and edited into a short film. Northwest Public Broadcasting's Lauren Patterson has more.
Told in the Hills is considered the first feature film shot in Idaho. It was filmed in Kamiah on the Nez Perce Indian Reservation.
It was made in 1919, and it was an unusual film even for early cinematic standards because of the unique and unprecedented collaboration with the Nez Perce tribe.
That's Colin Mannix, executive director of the Kenworthy Performing Arts Center. The silent film story follows Jack Stewart, played by Robert Warwick, a man from a wealthy family who tries to escape some family drama by heading west, but he gets himself into trouble. More than 100 members of the Nez Perce tribe were invited to participate in the filming.
They presented a lot of authentic cultural regalia as a part of the production.
The Nez Perce tribal members portray the Kootenai tribe in the film because the story takes place in rural Montana, despite being filmed in Idaho. After a young Kootenai chieftain is accidentally killed when he tries to bring a message of goodwill to the U.S. cavalry, Stewart is unjustly imprisoned, and the story follows how he escapes. Like many silent films, there will be music throughout the entire picture. The score for the new version of this long-lost Western romance was created by Diné composer Connor Chee.
What I ended up doing was writing, I think it's about 17 different pieces, 17 cues that had, a variety of emotions that could match what I'd seen on the screen in this rough cut.
The music score will be performed live at the movie showing. Being a member of the Navajo Nation, Chee says he doesn't have to explicitly try to give his work an indigenous feel, because it's always woven into his work. But he says he did approach the music with a historical lens.
I wanted the melodrama to match sort of the time period in that sense of what you're seeing on screen.
The new version of the restored film will premiere at the Kenworthy Theater in downtown Moscow on the last Friday and Saturday of September as part of the theater's Silent Film Festival. Reporting in Moscow, Idaho, I'm Lauren Patterson.
This is National Native News. I'm Brian Bull.
National Native News is produced by Koahnic Broadcast Corporation with funding by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Support by Drummond Woodsum, a full-service law firm whose nationally recognized tribal nations practice provides services to tribal nations and their enterprises and to companies that do business with tribes across the country. More at dwmlaw.com. Skugtash. For more than 40 years, Ramona Farms has revived ancient traditional foods, tepary beans, pinoli, polentas, and more, all from store.ramonafarms.com. Ramona Farms supports this show. Tom Yang.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.
This is Native America Calling. I'm Sean Spruce. Music Heals is the name of a track off the new album by the Seattle-based band Khu.éex. And that might be a way to describe the thrust of Red Cedar in the House of Chaos, which relies on the band's signature jazz, funk, and rock sound to tackle topics like the fentanyl crisis in Native communities. It's the latest album by the Tlingit and Haida-led ensemble and a series of works that bring awareness to bigger issues facing Native people, like clean water and intergenerational trauma. They also fuse poetry and traditional stories in Native languages. We'll talk with members of Khu.éex about their new work today. We'll also talk with Dakota Yazzie from the soul and jazz collective Earth Surface People about a new album they just released. We also want to hear from you too, of course, our listeners. What music do you like from the bands we're featuring today? Let us know. Give us a call. Join us with a comment or question by calling 1-800-996-2848. That number is also 1-800-99-NATIVE. Joining us now from Seattle, Washington is Preston Singletary. He is the co-founder of Khu.éex, and he's also a glass artist. He is Tlingit. Preston, good morning, and welcome back to Native America Calling.
Morning. Thank you very much.
Joining us from Hawaii is Sandra Segundo. She is the lead female vocalist for Khu.éex. She is also an author and an educator. She is Haida. Sandra, good morning to you as well, and welcome back to the show.
Singat La, good morning. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have both of you on the show. And Preston, I'm going to begin with you. Each Khu.éex album, it centers on a different issue: clean water in Native communities, intergenerational trauma, to name a couple. How do you choose the theme of each album and its direction?
Well, it's really a collective kind of process, and Captain Rob, our guitar player, does a lot of sort of sorting through the material that we have done over the years and has been kind of the creative director in that regard. And we at one point we were producing so much music, it was like a hard thing to sort through, and so he kind of grouped it up in different categories, and then we concentrated on the themes and emphasized those in overdubs and what have you, adding to the music that we captured in the studio initially.
Now, the name Red Cedar in the House of Chaos, that's actually a nod to Public Enemy's "It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back." Tell us more about the meaning behind this title.
Well, this is one of the things that Rob's been thinking about in terms, he's a social worker, and so he was seeing some commonalities between the two eras back in the in the 80s, the crack era, when Public Enemy was really coming to the fore. And so we see that within our community as well, and the broader, nation, the fentanyl crisis. And so this is something that he was, sort of attaching that correlation with the title. And, being a big Public Enemy fan as well myself, it resonated with me. And so we try to touch on different themes such, as, the boarding school era, missing and murdered Indigenous women, so there's a lot of issues that, affect the broader community, and we tried to bring that into the concept of the album.
Okay, now this is the 6th studio album by Khu.éex. Tell us more about how your collaboration and just the whole process of playing together has evolved over the years since the band has been out and about, touring and recording.
Well, when we first started, we had the great honor of working with Bernie Worrell, who was one of the founders of Parliament Funkadelic, and we're both big fans of him as a musician. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2016. But in the beginning, we were trying to maximize the opportunity to work with Bernie, and we did a lot of the stuff we did was largely improvised. We did have some loose arrangements that we would review and sort of try to execute, and then we would go through the process of overdubbing. So what we did is we got the basic tracks with Bernie. He helped us identify our sound, and we learned so much through working with him. And then now that Bernie's gone, we're sort of finding that when we go into the studio, we can take a little more time. So we're actually creating more structure around the music, arranging it before we go into the studio, and then executing it. Also, bringing in Sandra's expertise in terms of working with her Haida language, which she's been studying. And so it was really a really fun process to take some of her ideas and then interpret them through the music. Yeah.
Well, let's hear us.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry.
Well, let's go ahead and take a listen here. This is Sister Brother off the new album Red Cedar in the House of Chaos. That was the song Sister Brother from Khu.éex off their new album Red Cedar in the Hour of Chaos. We're joined today by Preston Singletary, who is the co-founder of Khu.éex, and also Sandra Segundo, who is the lead female vocalist. And Sandra, we need to bring you into this conversation. Just love that song, by the way. Just such a great groove. Tell us more about that sound that you folks came up with there.
We had a writing session where we blocked out a week together and rented a little Airbnb and brought all our instruments, and we just sat together with each other and talked and just started coming up with the sound for this song and the words for this song. Just to honor, all the ones that have gone missing.
Mm-hmm. Is that a common strategy, a creative way that you folks create new music, is to kind of just hole up in an Airbnb or some space like that and just collaborate and think and talk and create music? Or is that kind of a new approach for this album?
That was one approach that we took. We haven't done that since, but a lot of the times, the guys will get together and jam out and record some really good music, and then they'll send it to me, and I'll do some overdubs using maybe some poetry I've written in the past, or something that just kind of bubbles up out of me, some wording that goes along with it, and then we just keep going from there, get together, record it together until we get to the final recording session where we do block out about a week and just get together and record. So, yeah, there's different approaches that Preston takes with trying to rally 10 band members together, trying to get our schedules all in line, and it's quite a task.
Well, it sounds like quite a task, but whatever the task is, it sure is working, because you folks really hit it out of the park with this album. It sounds wonderful. We're going to take a short break. We're going to come back and talk more with Sandra and also Preston. We're going to hear some more music as well. And, of course, the phone lines are open. So any listeners who would like to join in this conversation, maybe you got a question to ask, or you just want to tell either Preston Singletary or Sandra Segundo how much you like their music and how much you appreciate that they share their talents and their gifts with so many listeners, give us a call, 1-800-996-2848, 1-800-996-2848, or just 1-800-99-NATIVE. Environmental advocates all over the world are celebrating a new international treaty aimed at protecting the world's oceans. The High Seas Treaty just cleared its final hurdle and is set to go into effect in January. We'll get perspectives from Indigenous supporters about the promise the treaty offers. That's on the next Native America Calling.
Support provided by Amerind. Amerind is 100% tribally owned and partners with tribes and their businesses to provide affordable commercial insurance coverage, protect tribal sovereignty, and strengthen Native American communities by helping to keep dollars in Indian country. Information about property, liability, commercial auto, and workers' comp available at amerind.com. That's AMERIND.com.
Thank you for listening to Native America Calling. We're talking with members from the band Khu.éex about their latest album, Red Cedar in the Hour of Chaos. We'll also talk today, later, with the founding member of the Indigenous Soul Collective, Earth Surface People. Are you a fan of jazz, funk, or soul? If so, this is your show today, and you are more than welcome to join us with a comment or a question. Just call 1-800-996-2848. That's also 1-800-99-NATIVE. One of our guests today, Sandra Segundo, is the lead female vocalist for Khu.éex, and she joins us from Hawaii. And Sandra, let's talk a little bit more about the title of the album, Red Cedar in the Hour of Chaos. And of course, cedar trees play an important part in your own culture, the Haida culture. What does the album title mean to you?
Cedar is a huge part of our culture. It's just everything to us. It helped us build our homes, and our clothing. We make our hats and our clothes, even baby diapers. We could pound the cedar down to so soft that we could put it on a baby. Our canoes to travel, across the ocean as traders. I didn't, it was our Captain Rob, our guitar player, who decided on the title, and we all voted and voted it in. But just, I love the fact that we were always, looking out for our people. All of us in the band, we know what's going on in our communities, and we are constantly, praying for our people, helping our people. It's just a big part of what we do and who we are, just being born into this realm during this time, and our music just comes out the way it does, from our hearts and our souls for the love of our people and continued healing.
Thanks, Sandra. Preston, I want to go back to you and talk a little bit about the album's artwork, because I know you contributed to that effort as well. Can you describe the image for our listeners?
Yeah, so if you think about the Public Enemy album, there's like Chuck D and Flavor Flav are sitting behind these jail bars, and so we tried to have the idea of this forest grove of trees, and then I put like one of these a native shaman mask, that was kind of poking through the light filtering through the trees, and as if they're sort of gripping onto the tree trunks as if it were a bar. And then some of the artwork, we sort of photoshopped some of the glass sculptures that I've made, these spirit figures that were often found in the woods as markers, trail markers, or in some cases there was west coast of Vancouver Island, they had these effigies that were carved, and they were for a whaling shrine. And so these standing figures were sort of left in this shrine for whalers to go and prepare for a whale hunt, way back in the day. This piece still resides in a museum in New York City, but it belongs to the New Channel people. It's one of my mentors is from that tribe, and so we made these sculptures, and that's what you'll see on the cover.
All right. Well, Preston, one fact about the group that some listeners might not know is that each of the band members does work outside in addition to music. Sandra does cultural education. Captain Rab is involved in social work. And you, of course, are a busy glass artist. What is that balance like for you between the other types of artwork that you do in addition to music?
Well, it's a good question. The music does occupy a large part of my brain space, and I'm always thinking about it. Music was my first love, and I kind of fell into glass blowing, and then I ended up, developing a career around it. So it kind of drew me in when I connected it to my cultural background. And then a few years later, I started to, going to Santa Fe. Was one place where I started bumping into Native musicians, and then I started thinking, well, why don't I turn that towards my music? And then I had a group called Little Big Band in the mid 2000s for a few years, but then it sort of evolved into Khu.éex, and then when we started with this project, it just became like wildfire. It expanded so quickly, and then of course I mentioned working with Bernie Worrell was a really exciting time for about a 3-year period where we worked with him, and so I just keep coming back to it. And the thing is that with all the great talent that we have in the group, it's like a force of nature in a lot of ways. That there's so many talented people, so much creativity, and right now we just happen to be in a really, really good place where everybody is just really enjoying the music and the creativity around it, and so it's just it just makes sense to continue on with it. It's almost like I'm driven to keep pushing with this band. I joke with people a lot, saying like I want to promote the band for the next 10 years, and then I can retire as a musician. It'll be like the Buena Vista Social Club, coming out like this band remained relatively obscure for 20 years, but now here they are, and they're that's my little pipe dream. But yeah.
I love it. I love it. We're going to play another track, but before that, Sandra, I want to ask you the same question because, of course, you are a children's book author and an illustrator. And what's the balance like for you between these different creative efforts?
It just flowed right into everything I was doing. When you start language work, it's not just for a small period of time, it's for the rest of your life. And so I basically quit my job in the public school system to help my language. And then Khu.éex asked me to join the band and sing in my Haida language. And I was also trying to create songs for my children's books and, trying to learn all the old Haida songs that were getting lost, trying to find them. And so everything just flowed together. For our next album, Preston asked me if I could use some Haida vocables. And I was like, oh, yeah. And so I just started playing around with, our vocables that our elders used. And it sounded amazing. And so it's just constantly being inspired and just that healing of just being able to perpetuate our languages in every space possible. It's just amazing.
Well, let's hear another song. This one is titled Lovebirds. Sandra, can you introduce this for us?
Yes. This was a love song that I composed for my Haida grandparents. My grandma was Raven. She came from the Eagle clan, and my grandpa came from the Eagle clan. She came from the Raven clan. He came from the Eagle clan. And when those two clans marry, they're called the Lovebirds. And after being married for 53 years, they passed away on the same day of natural causes, and they had a beautiful, loving, healthy indigenous relationship.
That was the song Lovebirds from the band Khu.éex off their new album Red Cedar in the Hour of Chaos. And we have the lead female vocalist for Khu.éex on the line right now, Sandra Segundo. And Sandra, in addition to all the music, you're also working with an apprentice to pass traditional Haida songs on to the next generation. Tell us about that project.
My niece, Melia Harris, she has a little son, Mael, and she just, is always saying, Auntie, teach me this. Auntie, how do you say this? I need it now. I'm trying to say this and send me a recording now, Auntie. And so I love that. I love when the younger generation just bugs me and hounds me, because that's basically what I started to do in the beginning. I just wanted to say it correctly, my language. So I would reach out to any language speaker I could, and got the honor of working with Jane Kristovich, who is in her 90s, and she was a fluent speaker down in the Seattle area. And she just took me under her wing. And after, not hearing our language spoken for a long time and fluently, because my grandparents were fluent, and then there was a time where we just didn't hear our language being spoken, but just hearing her and her sisters speaking our language fluent, oh my goodness, it's just like ocean waves and cool breeze, And so that's where we're at right now. With a lot of us can pronounce our language better, and so my niece joins our advanced Haida language class just to hear the elders speaking fluent. And she's doing whatever she can, and she works at a native preschool in Seattle and brings Haida songs and language to the kids, and it's a multilingual school, so many different indigenous languages being taught and learned there, and it's pretty amazing, and I'm really proud of her, because it's not easy, to do this work. That's one thing we've realized, is that there is a lot of pain involved in getting over these hurdles and this fear that we just need to break through, and just help our language.
Right on, Sandra. Ocean waves and cool breeze. It definitely sets the tone. Appreciate it so much. Preston, what's next? What do our listeners need to know about future projects or future concerts, tour info? What can you tell us?
Well, we're in the process of, not us, but there's a documentary film that is being wrapped up now currently that is going to be, we're applying, not we. Heartstone Productions has been working with me for about 13 years, and they've been chronicling the band for almost that length of time. And so they made this documentary film about the origins and the evolution of the group. So we're really proud to say that it's almost ready to be shared. We've been submitting it to film festivals and seeing if we can get any traction there. But hopefully this will be an opportunity to share the band in a broader way, and that's coming up probably. We're waiting on word of the submissions, and we should know within the next, month or so if we got in. Once that starts, it'll be a year-long sort of kickoff to, trying to apply to other festivals before it's then finally released, officially.
All right, Preston and Sandra, great effort. Thank you so much for spending time with our listeners today.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, before we take a break, we've got enough time to pivot to our next artist. This is Dakota Yazzie. He joins us from Arizona. He's the founder of Earth Surface People. He is Dene. Dakota, hello. Thank you for joining the show today. It's great to have you.
Yeah, Bennett, it's good to be here.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about your album. This is actually your sophomore album. How would you describe it for those who have not yet listened to it? What can they expect?
Yeah, Yago Duclige in Dneprzad, it roughly translates to colors the sky blue. And the concept behind the album was to have it flowing like water. There's a lot of improv inside of the album, and it explores the creation story of the blue world of the Navajo people. And it also explores modern stories of the band members who are currently in the project, and it explores our attitudes and our narratives, and it kind of connects the older world with this newer world. And in this project, we become like the bridges between this older world of creation and history, and then we kind of catch people up into the context of now.
All right, Dakota, thank you so much for that intro. And we are going to take a short break, but we're going to come back. We're going to talk more with Dakota, and we're going to hear some cuts off the new album as well. So stay with us, and please join the conversation. If you have a question or an insight to share, just pick up that phone, call 1-800-996-2848. That number again, 1-800-996-2848. Also, 1-800-99-NATIVE. That works just as well. It'll connect you with our studio in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and our producers are waiting for you to call and joining the conversation. So, again, 1-800-99-NATIVE. Call now. Don't wait any longer because we got the phone lines open.
The annual 2025 Indian Nations Conservation Alliance National Conference happens October 14th in Las Vegas. This 3-day gathering of tribal leaders, professionals, youth, and community members unites voices and action around conservation, innovation, and indigenous stewardship of Indian lands and resources. The Indian National Finals Rodeo will be there too. Info and registration at inca-tcd.org. Inca supports this show.
You are listening to Native America Calling. We're speaking now with Dakota Yazzie, the leader of the band Earth Surface People, about their new album. And you, of course, can join our conversation by calling 1-800-996-2848. Dakota, let's hear a song from the Indigenous Soul Collective, Earth Surface People. This is Dance Me Outside. That was the song Dance Me Outside off the new album by the collective Earth Surface People. And we have Dakota Yazzie on the line right now. He's the founder of Earth Surface People. And Dakota, I think some listeners might recognize the title of this song to a movie that came out about 30 years ago with Adam Beach. It was called Dance Me Outside. Tell us more about how this song came about.
Yeah. I think for me, I've always wanted to integrate these parts of native pop culture into the music. And I know that the writer of Dance Me Outside isn't native, but I feel there are some of these, pop culture moments that we have in Native America where they're not necessarily from a native, but they kind of become the norm or the regular. And so when I was growing up, Dance Me Outside was, usually played at my aunt's house or my grandpa's house. And it was just like something on in the background. And it wasn't until I was like a few years ago that I really decided to deep dive into the story. And I just always really appreciated the story. It's kind of, it's really a surreal type of movie, It's got like, it has humor, it has violence, it has these very serious topics within Native America. And it touches on all these, rich things. And, you got Adam Beach in his early 20s, you got characters like Silas, and just the attitude of it, it's kind of like goofy and serious. And so I kind of wanted to make that into like a moment within the music. And so I'd been studying a lot of house music at the time. I went back to a lot of 90s house music, especially like Martha Wash. And it was like from that format that I started building it. And I wanted to, make the song kind of light and not too serious and still relate it back to the film.
That's really cool. I remember that movie really well. It was popular. A lot of people saw it again. 1994 is when it came out. So Dakota Yazzie keeping us up to date with Native films from 3 decades ago. Now, your album also, you fuse soul music with Native stories. And tell us more about some of the Navajo concepts and stories that you introduce into the album.
Yeah, so the first album, No Kati and Dene, was like a introduction to the worlds of creation. And I think in that album, we kind of touch on the Black world, which is the first world. And in this album, the way that I'm formatting albums is they all correspond with like a world within creation, within my own creation story. And they're not meant to be like, this is the absolute truth or this is how it happens in Navajo culture. It's not meant to be like empirical. It's more of interpretive. It's my interpretation of the creation story, of the creation myth, and my interpretation of the characters and the symbols within the creation mythology. So in this, in the Blue world, one of the main stories is, you have Coyote who ends up stealing there's a great water monster that resides in the Blue world. And all of the people and the spirits, they reside on this like large island. And Coyote decides one day to, maybe out of luck, maybe out of wisdom, maybe out of just some sense of evil or cunning, like Coyote decides to steal one of the water monster's babies. And the water monster, I believe, has 9 babies. And he like hides the baby under his fur. And the water monster ends up getting really upset with all of the denizens of the world. And so she decides to flood this whole world. And there are aviating creatures in there too, like there are birds and there are fish in this world as well. And they're not really worried. They're really kind of unbothered by the world flooding. And so they don't really care about the mammals and the spirits who are on the island. And they're kind of left there to fend for themselves. But there is one flying relative who does care. Well, she technically isn't flying, who's Turkey. Mm-hmm. And Turkey, who has been, made fun of by her flying relatives that she can't fly, she's learned to like love the ground and learn to love like foundation. And in her love and in her pursuits, that she's like she's collected seeds, she's collected trinkets, she's like collected these items, and has come to like love the people of the ground, of the earth. And so in her brilliance and in her, you know, her outcasting, like she ends up with all these seeds. And so as the island is flooding, she like throws the seeds into the ground, just throwing them tens at a time. And some are sprouting here and there, little flowers, and things are starting to pop up. And then one of them happens to be a bean seed, bean sprout. It enters into the ground, immediately shoots way up into the sky of this world, and like ends up piercing into the next world. And it's from this beanstalk that all of the ground relatives, the earth relatives, are able to go up the stalk. And so the intro of the album, 2001, is that. This is what's happening. You have the spirits who are starting to climb up the stalk, and they're like looking down at the relatives down on the ground, and they're yelling at them. They're telling them like, the water's coming up, the water's coming up. And that was done in Hopi language, and that was done by Star Not Afraid and Hoytema. They were supposed to be on the first album, but they got in their stuff late, so they ended up being on the second album and opening up this whole world. So it ended up working well, really well.
Dakota, that is so intense, and you know, it really, just hearing that story and hearing all that cultural knowledge, I mean, it really makes me think about like what we're facing today as a society and as Native people, and it's just really spot on in a lot of ways. I can really relate. Let's hear another song from Earth Surface People. This one also has a really catchy title. It's called Benz or Beamer. Let's take a listen.
If you got the Benz or the Beamer, doubt that you could hold me down. If you got the fans or the Louis, doubt that you could hold my crown. If you got the Benz or the Beamer, doubt that you could hold me down. If you got the fans or the Louis, doubt that you could hold my crown.
You can't resist my powdered brown eyes. Try to persuade me you're a better man than I. Don't check me, check on your reciprocity. Baby, tell me that you wanna sing to me.
If you got the Benz or the Beamer, doubt that you could hold me down. If you got the fans of the Louis, doubt that you could hold my crown.
Will you ever try to whip me into place? Does the desert heat make you wanna change your ways? Would the big sky make you feel more comfortable? I feel no ways when you look my way. Ooh, I wanna touch you again. Ooh, I wanna be more than your friend.
If you got the Benz or the Beamer, doubt that you could hold me down. If you got the fans or the Louis, doubt that you could hold my crown.
If I was a dollar, I'd stretch out to me both of our hands. If I was
That was Benz or Beamer from Earth Surface People. Dakota, what went into this song?
Oh man, a lot of musicians. I think on this cut we had 12 musicians. We had the violins, we had saxophone, we had the vocals by Nanaba, we had backup vocals by Ken Chavez, we had bass, we had drums, we had hand percussions, we had my vocals, we had guitar, Rhodes, synth. Yeah, like a whole tribe went into this one.
Well, it came out great. I love it. Now, you started this collective almost 10 years ago, and you actually began as a rock band. Now you've pivoted into R&B, jazz, and soul. What led you down this path?
I think in this day and age that the idea of genre is kind of fading away. I think the idea of genre is dead. And so I think there's been this freedom that's been allowed by each and every artist where we can bend genres, we can go into whatever genres, and we can mix genres together. Since the pinnacle and the heights of all of these genres have already been met, I mean, obviously in soul, you know, I'd say in the 70s, like the height of soul had already happened. And within jazz, I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that there isn't good soul nowadays, but I'm saying that the pinnacle of its cultural significance and the zeitgeist of it had existed in a certain time and place. And now that these cycles are over with, we're able to kind of bend and go in between these genres. And so I had first started off with rock and roll, and that was like a lot of my dad's influence. And slowly over time, I started exploring a lot of my mom's music, a lot of soul, a lot of R&B, even house music. And so I think I've just been moving between like honoring different parts of my upbringing. And so, and it took me a long time to really understand that the expression that I was feeling couldn't be expressed in like the rock music format. And where I wanted to go was definitely jazz and neo soul, and, you know, really inspired by artists like Erykah Badu, who kind of, she expresses herself through the spiritual lens, and then also has like this attitude, you know, this African-American attitude that like goes beyond American identity, goes beyond African-American identity. And what she speaks to is just like so concrete and foundational. And so I wanted to move towards something like that.
All right, Dakota, we're going to have to wrap up the show. Where can our listeners go to learn more about what's going on with Earth Surface People?
Yeah, check us out on Instagram at Earth Surface People. You could stream our album. We're on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Music. We're also on TikTok. You can find me at Yellow Horse on TikTok. And yeah, we'll be planning we got a few music videos planned for the next few months. And then we're currently on hiatus and potentially going to have some shows in the next coming year. So just keep an eye out on that. Keep an eye out for the socials. And we also might have some more music coming. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. We're out of time. We're going to have to wrap up. A big thanks to Dakota Yazzie, Sandra Segundo, and Preston Singletary. And please join us again tomorrow for another great show. I'm Sean Spruce. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Support for journalism that raises the awareness of child well-being to citizens and to policymakers provided by the Annie E. Casey Foundation, building a brighter future for children, families, and communities. Information at aecf.org. Support for law and justice-related programming provided by Hobbs, Strauss, Dean & Walker, LLP, a national law firm dedicated to promoting and defending tribal rights for over 40 years. More information available at hobbsstrauss.com.
My name is Tammy, and I'm a member of the Little Traverse Bay Band of Odawa Indians. Smoking gave me heart disease. I used to think of cigarette smoking as something that only affected me. Then at just 44 years old, I had to look into my mom's eyes on the way into emergency heart surgery and tell her, "Mommy, I promise I won't make you bury me." My tip is, think about the people in your life who love you. They go through the pain too, maybe even more than you do.
The people you love are worth quitting for. You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. A message from the CDC.
Native America Calling is produced in the Annenberg National Native Voice Studios in Albuquerque, New Mexico by Khu.éex Broadcast Corporation, a Native nonprofit media organization. Funding is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting with support from the Public Radio Satellite Service. Music is by Brent Michael Davids. Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.